We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button, share the video. If you want to support this college football independent rebel outpost with a donation to help us keep the lights on and grow the channel, just hit that $ where you make your comment and I will get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. We are truly I cannot believe this. We are truly slip sliding into silos. It's mad chaos out there. Nobody likes rules. Everybody says they want rules. But once you write them down on a piece of paper, suddenly go, no, can't do that. Nobody likes rules in college football. But Greg, the lawyers are going to get after it, Greg. I know that. Let the lawyers come. Let's go to the courts. But it's like nobody even wants the rules. Nobody can agree on anything. The schools come together and they agree on something. And before it even gets to the courts, the coaches are complaining, general managers are complaining, everyone's complaining, but yet everybody wants rules, but not rule for themselves. I love college football. I love it. I love it. I love it. My whole life revolves around the little general, my creator, and college football. The three pillars of my life: my creator, the little general, and college football. And the college football thing drives me absolutely nuts. You know what? Nick, the Virginia Tech Hokie, Preston from Greensboro, Edward the Auburn Tiger, Christopher Hooter, Daniel Expansion Crush, Mick Stevens, Frank Potter, all go into a room. All of you go into a room and you come out with rules. Agree on a set of rules. And by the end of the day, 30-40% of you are going to be already complaining about what rules you just made. Today, we are going to go through the NCAA. Again, the NCAA imposes steep penalties for ghost transfers, but many already doubt they will stick. Of course they're not going to stick. Nothing's going to stick. Nothing's going to stick. How is it going to stick? You know, the NCAA is us. The people that are in these committees are representing the schools. How dare the NCAA do this? How dare the NCAA do that? It's us. We're the NCAA. And anytime there's a rule, anytime there's a possibility of enforcement, no, that ain't gonna, no, can't do that, no. Then the next week we hear, man, there's no rules and the NCAA is not doing anything about it. We go in this vicious circle, around and around and around and around, and we go. As long as my team, as long as my football program can play the victim, I'm all good, right? As long as I can complain about another program doing the dirty deed, I'm all good. We are in so much trouble. So much trouble. Later on in the program, we are going to be going through the Brandon Marcello article. The NCAA approved sweeping penalties on Wednesday for programs that sign players outside of the transfer portal window. Coaches and attorneys across the sport are not convinced the rules will hold. Yeah, I guess. Because the NCAA has no credibility. We don't have any credibility. Nobody has any credibility in the eyes of the courts. So again, this is another event. We're waiting for the Nebraska 18, right? The Nebraska 18 who arbitration with the CSC. If Nebraska 18 wins that case, there are more and more landmines that are being put out in front of us. Nebraska 18, and now we've got this. We are all slip-sliding in the silos. Slip-sliding away. Slip-sliding away. The younger generation, the more we keep slip-sliding into a silo away. That's what is going on. We are going to go in our own corners, and the ramifications of that, I think, is going to be, well, it's unknown, number one, but I think it is going to be, on one hand, it's going to be fascinating to watch. On the other hand, it's going to be a slow moving car wreck of about 120 cars on an icy road in northern Minnesota. I think it's going to be an incredible, dysfunctional train wreck. And as we slip on into our silos, because we can't do anything together, we have failed at everything. The people that are going to be most hurt, are the smaller conferences, the smaller schools, and in the Power Four, it's going to be the ACC and the Big 12. That's how it is. The NCAA, at least, see, the problem is, anytime you try to say anything positive about the efforts that are being put forward right now, you sound like an absolute schmuck. You sound like a naive. At least there was some effort put out there that tried to have everybody under one umbrella in some way, in some fashion. Not only are we looking at a college football world, a college sports world, but we're going to focus on college football. Not only are we looking at a world that, okay, we'll probably go in, another subdivision, la-da-da-da-da. Power 4 might separate from the G6. I mean, good gracious. The P2 is probably going to separate from the ACC and the Big 12. That is where we're all heading. That's where this is heading. Divide, 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 silo, 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 in the world of economic consolidations. It's all heading down that way. Not only is it best for some programs and some conferences, economically, consolidation, not only it's better for the media partners, probably, media companies, but now it's probably better legally to fight off all these lawyers and agents. Oh, that ain't going to hold up. Oh, that ain't going to hold up. Oh, that ain't going to hold up. You know, when I started talking like this about 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, people accused PATC of gaslighting people, of manipulating people, of being too dramatic to people. And we don't hear those complaints anymore, do we? Here at Peek Around the Corner. Oh, no. There's no chance of conferences going on their side. Come on. Greg is gaslighting. Greg the grifter. We don't hear those complaints anymore, do we? When we said it was DEFCON 1, oh boy, we got raked over the coals because of this new governance. Please. And now people are saying, Greg. Silos is just fine. Everything's going to work out. No problem. There's no problem with that, Greg. Everyone's going to be able to govern themselves. And again, Greg, it's going to be kumbaya. At the end of the day, it's going to be kumbaya. The Big 12 should not have to worry. The ACC have nothing to worry about. We're going our own silos. The SEC is going to be just fine with the other conferences might having a different rule. And Greg, if the SEC goes their own way and the Big Ten goes their own way, then the ACC is going to go their own way and the Big 12 is going to go their own way. And Greg, you don't understand. The Big 12 is going to be fine. The ACC is going to be fine. I don't think anything's going to be fine. I mean, the Southeastern Conference is going to be fine. The Big Ten is going to be fine. I don't think people are registering. I think there's a lot at risk right now. A lot. In my estimation, college football needs a miracle at this point. An absolute miracle. It needs an antitrust exemption. It needs Congress to pass the SCORE Act. Somehow, some way, I don't know, it's not going to happen, but it has to happen. It has to happen. Or we're going into our own silos. At least possibly in a silo. For example, the Southeastern Conference. The presidents, they see each other every day. 16 presidents working it out. Maybe they can have their own enforcement arm and rules, and maybe they can make it work. And maybe the Big Ten can make it work. And maybe the ACC can make it work, and maybe the Big 12 can make it work. Possibly. Because what's happening now is not working. I think we had it was Patron that called last night talking about his conspiracies. I've got a conspiracy I want to throw out there. And a lot of you are going to be going, Greg, his cheese has finally slipped off his cracker. I think there's a lot of sabotage going on. I think there's a lot of cloak and dagger sabotage going on. I think there are forces. That want to go silo so bad, they're going to throw grenades at anything. I think there's lawyers and agents that want the SEC to go silo so bad that they keep throwing up all these obstacles and all these schools trying to govern. They want the Big Ten to go silo so bad because they see more money in a silo world. I think there is things at play here. And if that SCORE Act doesn't pass, if the Nebraska 18 wins their case, there's going to be nothing holding back the Southeastern Conference. There's going to be nothing holding back the Big Ten. Because they're going to say, why? Why should we be held back? You think they were backstabbing people in the past? Do you think that night that went in the Pac-12's back was bad? You haven't seen anything yet. Oh, Greg, you're being dramatic. I was dramatic 4 or 5 months ago, and the PATC community figured it out. But a lot of you outside the PATC family, you want to talk drama? In this month of April, this is not an April Fool's joke. I don't do April Fool's joke. I had to make sure in 2022, the day after we broke the news that USC was talking to the Big Ten, if you go back to my April 1st post, I had to keep saying over and over again, this is not an April Fool's joke. I don't do April Fool's jokes. This is the beginning of April. 30 days in April. There's a very good chance the decision on the arbitration of the Nebraska 18 versus the College Sports Commission is going to come down. And if it comes down on the side of the Nebraska 18, which basically says, well, you can dump the NIL Go into the garbage. You can dump the Deloitte Clearinghouse in the garbage. You can dump the CSC. You can dump everything. Everything that made the settlement happy, you can dump it in the garbage because it ain't going to work. There's going to be no handcuffs anymore. Go, go, go. Throw anything you want. The sky's the limit. There is no cap. There's nothing. There's no enforcement arm. There is nothing. We're going to get, it is more likely than not. It is more likely than not we are going to be handed down that decision this month. It could be tomorrow. It could be April 15th. It could be April 25th. It could be my birthday, April 23rd. If I make it to my birthday, if I don't stroke out here in the new studio, if the Nebraska 18 wins that case, one or two things is going to happen, in my opinion. Let me know how wrong I got it once again. But one or two, either one or two. One, it's going to cause so much drama, so much flames, bombs are going to be going off, that somehow we get the miracle in the Congress. Somehow we get just enough votes in the House and we get 60 votes in the Senate and people are going to compromise. We're going to get the SCORE Act passed, some codification of the rules, some sort of exemption. Somehow we make it work and we stay together. That's number one. And in my opinion, that is nowhere near the chalk. That's not the chalk. Option number two. If the Nebraska 18 wins that case this month, option number two is there is no indication that is going to spurn the miracle in Congress and that it's going to go the other way. And Sankey's going to get with his presidents. The TD is going to get with his presidents. They're both going to get with their media partners. And they're going to say, now is the time to separate from the NCAA. Now it's time to separate from us all. We're going our own way. And if that happens, things are going to move quickly. Speed is of the essence. I see a lot of people I come from this a completely different direction than most people. At least most people that have a college football YouTube channel. I want as many opportunities as possible for the student athletes, for the athletes. I want as many opportunities as possible for the colleges, for the sport fans. I want as many opportunities as possible for the media companies, for all this stuff, right? But especially for the student athletes. That's why I'm pretty excited about the flag football situation. That's why I get pretty excited about, man, is Oklahoma State Cowboys going to have a Division I hockey program 5 years from now? I get excited about these more opportunities. We go in our own silos. We separate from each other. There's going to be less opportunities. Less opportunities at Western Michigan. Less opportunities at Boise State. Less opportunities at Colorado State. Less opportunities everywhere. We're already seeing stories about how universities might have to merge with each other. Some universities are going to have to cut back on programs because of the student apocalypse, which, by the way, these conferences are strongly keen of. I mean, a lot of their decisions are going to be based upon the student apocalypse that is hitting. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and say, if we all stay together, the Big Ten ain't going to expand and be brash and bold and try to become more powerful for their institutions. And if we all stay together, the SEC is they're not going to think of expansion and get bigger and stronger. Now, that would be a lie, because they're going to do that anyways. But if we don't have the SCORE Act passed, if we don't have some codification, if this 60-some schools cannot govern the whole batch of 68 schools, not to mention the G6 school, if we cannot govern ourselves, if we are so proud that every time a rule is created, no, then that is what's going to happen. We're slipping and sliding into silos. Today is another great indication of that. I don't care what rule you make. Bring up a rule. You're going to have a whole bunch of people say no. Under a CBA, under a collective bargaining agreement, well, first of all, if we have collective bargaining agreement, which in theory I'm for, but a CBA, the SEC CBA is not going to look anything like the Big 12 CBA. All right, let's do the roll call. At the beginning of the monologue, we're going to get back into this portal punishment. Portal punishment, the NCAA. If you get a player outside of the portal, out of the portal window, you are going to be punished severely. Your athletic department and your coach. Big penalties. Is it ever going to happen? Is this ever going to work? Most likely not, because we don't want to make anything work. Here we go. Let's do the roll call. Jimmy Austin is in the house. Mr. Duck. Rich Austin, go Utes. Christopher Hooter. Preston from North Carolina. MBM, go Pokes. Bob Swinger. Frank Pata. Virginia Tech Hokie. Now, I forgot to say, at the beginning of this monologue, PATC releases their way too early order of finish prediction for the ACC. We're doing that right now in a couple of minutes from now. We've done the Big Ten, which will go quickly over. We've done the Southeastern Conference yesterday, which we'll quickly go over. And today is the ACC. I've broken down the tapes. I've broken down all the tapes. I've looked at the new defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators. Now, again, this is our way too early order of finish prediction. I have the space. I have the grace from you all. I can change my predictions in the month of August. But now, today, we release our way too early order of finish prediction in the ACC. Later on, in a few days from now, we're going to do our Big 12. Way too early Big 12 predictions. And then finally, we're going to start our Spotlight series, where every live show we do, and we're doing them all the time, we break down one team in that live show. We put them under the spotlight. We talk about the strengths and the weaknesses, the best players on the team. We break it all down. We're going to start the Spotlight series pretty soon. But we had to go through the quarterback rankings. We've been going through all this stuff, right? We're talking a lot of college football here in the month of March, now in the month of April. We're going to continue to do it, but today is the ACC, PATC, way too early order of finish prediction. So where do I have the Virginia Tech Hokies? You're going to find out in a moment. Mick Stevens is in the house. The Indiana Hoosier Daniel Montcastle Expansion Crush is here. Thank you, friend. Appreciate it. Christopher Hooter, no more Big Ten is winning propaganda, please. Coy's in the house. Greg, we have a rocket launch to see the dark side of the moon. Do we want to see the dark side of the moon? That is the question. That is the question. Edward, the Auburn Tiger, is here. Thank you, Edward. Appreciate for coming on in. Thank you. Army of 24 Rod is here. Preston from Greensboro, Esmus Tox, Don Scruggs, thank you coming on in. Georgia Bulldog, Stephen Vitt, the Ohio Bobcat. Hi, everyone. I'm still recovering from allergies and coffee. Hope you feel better. Greg is being realistic, which is not popular. Kenneth Maynard, there will be no P2 breakaway. Buckeye Greg, hi everyone. I'm here watching the historic rocket launch while listening to Greg. Thank you, Buckeye Greg. I appreciate it. Esmus Talk says, I agree with MBM. It will be a P1A, P1B, and a G8. If we go silo, MBM says if we go silo, there won't be a P2. They can't even agree on a college football playoff format. They won't be able to navigate a new league. Amy's in the house. Hey, Greg, my youngest shares a birthday with you. Go Utes. Well, your youngest must be absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And your youngest must have a golden voice if they share the same birthday as myself. JBH is in the house. They make more money today, but less tomorrow. If the P2 kills out the rest of the college football fans, they won't move to a new team. 20 years from now, apathy in the sport because the P2 wanted extra money. P2 survives, not thrives. That all could be. I somewhat agree with some of that. But I happen to believe the ACC and the Big 12 will suffer even more. That's the problem. I know I get a lot of people upset when I say this. If we go into our silos, the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are the ones that are least at risk. Karan Shakar, stop calling them student athletes. They're students. They have academic standards they have to keep up. So I will keep calling them student athletes. I will keep calling them that. Frank Pata is in the house. Frank Pata is here. Has been. Thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it, has been. The Architect. Punishing coaches and institutions might work. punishing players might be a legal loss. Fair enough. But even the coaches and the institutions, they don't want rules. They complain that they want rules, but they don't want rules. Anytime you bring up a new rule that a coach might get punished, no, we can't have that. We'll go through the article here. And we got our first super chat of the evening. The incredible, I owe Opie an apology. My goodness. Super chat, OPD done. Mr. Purple and Gold, thank you for the $10 holler. And Opie, I apologize to you. I was closing down the live show yesterday, and you put in a super chat that I did not see. I apologize, sir. I would never want to do that to you. You have been an unbelievable supporter of this program. I don't want to do that to anybody. But I was closing it up. I did not see. I should have taken one last look. So I want to apologize to OPD Don. Sorry about that, sir. Super chat, OPD Don. I thought the next 2 to 3 months and the last 3 months were important. Now I think the next 30 days are critical to silos or not. Jeesh. And that's the thing about the Nebraska 18. Unlike the SCORE Act, where if the SCORE Act doesn't pass, or any other vehicle that gets made, any other bill, compromise bill, call it the SCORE Act, call it the OPD Done Act, whatever they're going to call it, if it doesn't pass, that is going to be the hammer. I mean, that is going to be, we are in trouble. But that could linger on, right? Is it going to pass? There's a chance, maybe not. In the June and July and August, this Nebraska 18, if they win this case, it may not be bringing down the SCORE Act type of impact, but it is going to be a huge blow to any credibility that every school sign on the dotted line in concert with the House lawyers and the judge and the class action lawsuit. That whole thing is going to be destroyed. And we're going into wild, wild west territory. We're not even going to pretend that we have any rules. Holy smokes. And that is happening most likely in April. If it doesn't happen in April, then very quickly into the month of May. Most likely in April. It could be this week. It could be next week. Yeah, buckle up and brace for impact. If you are not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, smash the like button. Appreciate it. OPD Don, thank you so much for your generosity. Thank you, very kind, sir. Very much appreciate it. And again, I apologize to you from last night. OPD Don, we got another super chat. OPD Don, it's okay, Greg. I don't see me neither, as I have no mirrors in my house. Wow. I don't know what to say about that. I do not know what the psychological profile is of a person who does not have mirrors in their house. But I'm guessing you do. I'm guessing you're trying to make me feel better. I'm guessing you have a mirror before an LSU Tiger game. You put on the purple and gold and you've got to check yourself out. OPD Don, thank you for the $5 holler. Thank you, sir. I will keep a better lookout for the super chats while we're ending the show. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Karan Shakar, you are a vampire, Opie. Vampire. Big Gun Shop is in the house. What's up, Greg? Dante's Inferno Purgatory is here. Bimba7579 says the young people will know nothing of the past and will become P2 fans. P2 will thrive over time. Preston Preston from North Carolina telling Amy in the chat room, who shares the same birthday as yours truly, Greg the Gold. Preston from Greensboro, your youngest can't be trusted to pick college football games. Wow. No respect. No respect at all. No respect. Okay. Alrighty. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get into the PATC ACC order of finish prediction. I know each and every one of you are going to agree with all the decisions that I made in my prediction, because I think every one of you in the chat room right now has received enough evidence to know that this year is not Greg the Cooler. It is Greg the Gold. It is Greg the Gold. We got a $5 holler. Nope. I did not mean that. I did not mean to laugh at myself. We got a $5 holler. Wisconsin received another commitment from an in-state O-line recruit. I'm waiting for his twin brother to commit. Holy smokes. The momentum, it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. The Evil Badger is getting all lathered up. We're now entering in the month of April. In the month of March, you could see the optimism raise in Evil Badger's voice. And now we're in April. Now he's looking at the... Evil Badger is looking at images of the axe sitting in the Minnesota Golden Gophers trophy room. He wants the axe back. He wants the axe back. Evil Badger. Wow. You're not going to get it, though. You're not going to get it. That is staying home for a little while longer. No question about it. Thank you, Evil Badger. Thank you for the $5 holler. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it. Greg, even your subconscious knows better than to trust your idea of being Greg the Gold. I don't know. I feel confident right now. April 1st, I'm feeling real good. I'm feeling real good. All right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. ACC. Way too early order of finish prediction. Now this is not a obviously not a spotlight series episode, live show. So we're not going to break it down too much, just like we did in the Big Ten and the SEC. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on why we went this route. Here we go. PATC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, way too early order of finish prediction, starting with Boston College at number 17. Oh boy, Bill O'Brien, I think some pressure is starting to rise at Boston College. Went 2-10 last year. I think a lot of the season is going to be on the Saginaw Valley State transfer quarterback Mason McKenzie. Boston College is only returning one player on offense. A starter on offense. One player. The defense allowed almost 33 points a game. At this point in time, I'm not seeing it. Now, I'm interested. I'm interested in watching Mason McKenzie. We'll see what happens. Number 16, Stanford. Tavita Pritchard, the new head coach. Now they're going to be a running team. They're getting back to their what they used to do when they were successful. They're going to be running that football. Run that football. Run that football. They've got a really pretty good, really experienced offensive line. A whole lot of returning players. Micah Ford, the running back, coming back. Stanford's going to be running that football, trying to shorten the game. I've got them at 16. Syracuse at 15. Now, there was two teams here. Two teams that I had a really difficult time where I'm going to put them. Syracuse was one of them. Clemson is the other. And we'll get to Clemson here in a little bit. Syracuse, man, I don't know what to do with you. Steve Angeli, I loved him at Notre Dame. He didn't play much, but when he played, he was excellent. He went to Syracuse. He was doing good. And then that Achilles heels went out on him. Had an Achilles surgery. You don't know how he's going to come back on that. They lost their top two wide receivers. So, man, it's difficult. I've got them at 15. North Carolina, bringing in new offensive coordinator Bobby Petrino. And he did not, he did a pretty good job at Arkansas last year. It wasn't the offense that was the issue in Fayetteville. It was that defense. Bobby Petrino along with Bill Belichick. Interesting combination. And then you think about the, if you go look at it, what is surprising is North Carolina's defense was they got decent last year. Really, by the end of the season, they were better. I don't know if that's Bill Belichick doing his thing. So interesting combination, but I could not have them at any higher than number 14. Now I've got Georgia Tech taking the big drop. Georgia Tech and Duke are the big droppers here. I am not a believer in this Georgia Tech team. I was last year. And for the most part, they did what we predicted. But I'm not a believer in this. I think Brent Keyes is gambling on Alberto Mendoza big time. They got a good running back tandem, of course, Jamal Haynes. And then Malachi Hosley is somebody that is going to emerge this year. And all I can say about Georgia Tech's defense was good luck. I don't know what to say about at times they were not competitive last year. If they would have been competitive, the Georgia Tech Rambling Wreck would have been in the ACC championship game, especially in the second half of the season. I got Wake Forest at number 12. Now, Jake Dickert, the head coach, did an unbelievable job. Coming from Washington State the year before, Wake Forest, unbelievable job. But they're missing their big-time running back. He's not going to be back this year, Claiborne. The defense is going to have to be the strength of the team. We got Georgia Tech, Wake Forest at 12, Georgia Tech 13, North Carolina at 14. They were basically in the same batch. The next three teams were in the same batch. Duke, Florida State, and Pittsburgh. I should not be doubting Manny Diaz like this. Duke won the ACC championship last year. They lost Darren Mensah. Duke's defense was atrocious last year, so Duke lost a lot of starters on the defense from last year, but I don't know if that's a bad thing, to be honest. Walker Eget, the quarterback from San Jose State, going to be the new quarterback at Duke. Very interesting quarterback. I got them at number 11. Florida State at 10. The main reason is because of Mike Norvell. I do not trust Mike Norvell. I don't trust him. I don't feel it. And I don't feel Ashton Daniels either. Now, they've got some things going on good at Florida State. Deuce Robinson is a fantastic wide receiver. They've got talent. They've got some young running backs that are now sophomores, ready to produce. But I got Florida State at number 10, and it should be Mike Norvell's last year. Number 9, the Pittsburgh Panthers. Love the quarterback Mason Heinschel. But the defense is not going to be anything like they were last year. Remember, they've lost their linebackers, Kyle Lewis, and that Biles guy, Rasheem Biles. And I cannot get over the fact, I just cannot get over the fact that Pittsburgh keeps collapsing every single year. They do not finish strong, they collapse. It's not a one-year trend, it's not a 2-year trend. That bothers me, and I cannot put Pittsburgh any higher than number 9. Virginia at number 8. Lost a lot of defense from last year. I did not like how Bo Pibula looked at Missouri last year. Now, he's probably going to be the starting quarterback for Virginia. Most likely. He disappointed me greatly last year at Missouri. The O-line should be really good, returning 3 starters. And the best thing about Virginia is Tony Elliott. They won 11 games last year. 11 games last year. You know, Virginia Cavalier fans are expecting to do much better than 8th place. But I could not put them on a higher than 8. North Carolina, I would love to have you higher than 7. You have a good schedule. You have a schedule that would work. North Carolina State has a schedule that could propel them into the ACC championship game. But I am way too scared about their defense this year. I'm way too scared about the Wolfpack defensive line this year. They lost everybody. And you all know I love C.J. Bailey. I had him ranked number 2 in the ACC quarterback rankings. But I don't know if they've got enough around C.J. Bailey. I really don't. Now I've got Virginia Tech at number 6. I think most people are going to put Virginia Tech in the top 5. I could not quite do that. Couldn't quite put Virginia Tech in the top 5. But I got them at number 6. They've got a whole lot of returning starters for the Hokies. 14 of them. James Franklin. This thing about Brent Pry coming back as the defensive coordinator, the former head coach, man, that is interesting, isn't it? Does the Hokie fan base think that's going to work? That dynamic, is that going to work? Franklin and Pry in the same leaders meeting, in the same locker room? And then, of course, I got California at number 5. A lot of you are probably questioning my sanity. Look, guys, I almost had California at number 4. In fact, maybe I should have California at number 4. Maybe I'm being the coward of the county once again, just like I was yesterday in the SEC rankings, when I did not have Florida a little higher. Maybe I should have California a little higher. You guys know how much I'm in love with JKS, now the sophomore quarterback at California. They've got a new head coach, but it ain't just that. It ain't just that. I think they did really good in the transfer portal. Adam Mohammed, the running back from Washington. Now he's going to be able to get the rock at Berkeley, California. And any Rutgers fans, Esmus Talks was in the chat room earlier. Ian Strong is a really good receiver, transferred from Rutgers. I think California is going to be a problem in the ACC in 2026. Clemson, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what Clemson Tiger fans, tell me. Give me something here. I have no idea what to do with y'all. 7-6 last year, I believe. I don't even know what they're bringing back. They're bringing back Chad Morris, the offensive coordinator. I do not think Clemson has been getting good coaching with their running backs, the development of the running backs. Maffa, I mean, that was fine, but the defense has underperformed the last couple of years. They brought in Tom Allen. That didn't really work out. If you look at the top 100 players for the 2027 NFL draft, the top 100 players, there's only like 2 of them from Clemson. Like, why do I have Clemson at number 4? I'm not sure. Maybe I shouldn't. SMU number 3. Now, SMU has their own issues. It's why I do not have them at number 2. Bringing in a new defensive coordinator. Kevin Jennings is the reason why I've got SMU at number 3. I think he's going to have a monster season. And I love the new head coach. I love Lashley. I think he gets wins during the season that he should not be getting. Number 2, Louisville. Now, there was a comment earlier in the chat room that said that I was too optimistic about Louisville last year, and I'm being too optimistic about Louisville this year. The problem with Louisville last year is the quarterback. And I thought they had the quarterback situation figured out. I thought the transfer from USC was going to do just fine. And that quarterback position was a train wreck. If the Louisville Cardinals get better, if they get any production from their quarterback, and I think that Jeff Brom is going to be able to do it, I think Louisville is going to be in the ACC championship game. I know I kept pumping Miller Moss. It did not work out. I was incorrect. But that year was great. The cooler this year is great, the gold. So no problem. No problem. Lincoln Kienholz, the transfer from the Buckeyes, he should do pretty good. He's He's ready to go. He wants this opportunity. He wants this opportunity. And then, of course, they got running back Isaac Brown. They got K'Juan Brown. They've got a couple of running backs, but the main guy is Isaac Brown, a superstar last year. He went in the portal, but he came back. He came back to Louisville. I think the Louisville Cardinals, if you look at the rest of the conference, Louisville's expectations should be, we're getting into the conference championship game to play Miami. Miami is a monster chalk in the conference. They're a bigger chalk in the conference than Texas Tech is in the Big 12, according to FanDuel. Darren Mensah, the new quarterback. Malachi Tony, Spider-Man. He's going to be the leader of the Heisman race at the beginning of the season. Of course, you got the do-it-all running back of Mark Fletcher. You've got Pringle coming back next year. You've got Corey Heatherman, the great defensive coordinator, year 2 at Miami. Now, the offensive line and the defensive line is going to be looking a little different. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There is the PATC way too early order of finish prediction for 2026. So far in the books, we got the Big Ten order of finish prediction. Purdue, Rutgers, Northwestern, Maryland, Nebraska, UCLA, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Washington, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, Penn State, Michigan, USC, Indiana, Oregon State, and Ohio State. In the SEC, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Auburn, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Georgia, LSU, and Texas. And then in the ACC, Boston College, Stanford, Syracuse, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, Duke, Florida State, Pittsburgh, Virginia, North Carolina State, Virginia Tech, California, Clemson, SMU, Louisville, and Miami. And then once we're done with the Big 12, way too early order of finish prediction, then we will be given our official way too early college football playoff prediction, which is going to at least have one G6 team in there. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to keep it a secret. Notre Dame is definitely going to be in our college football playoffs way too early prediction. So if I've got 4 coming from the Big Ten, if I've got 4 coming from the SEC, and I've got Notre Dame in the G6 coming in, you've only got room for 1 in the Big 12 and 1 in the ACC. That's how I truly think it's going to play out. 1 in the Big 12 again. 1 in the ACC. So, again, the playoffs should be much larger than 12 teams. Much larger than 12 teams. All right, let me take a few of your comments here again. Super chat, supersede everything. We'll take your phone calls in a little bit. JBH, Greg, is very similar to my tier rankings. I would have Miami, then Louisville, SMU, then Clemson, Cal, Virginia Tech. Yep. Yeah, we are pretty similar. Preston from Greensboro, of course, says North Carolina State is too high. All right, let's get into this story here. Let's get into this, to the big story of today, and then we'll go to your phone calls. Big story of today, before we do that, I just wanted to highlight this on 3. Kalen DeBoer confirms he knew Michigan had intense interest in hiring him. I would have had to be living under a rock not to know. I'm not naive. I never talked to anyone, not one time. Your agent did, of course. I just don't know how you could live with yourself and look into your players' eyes if you were looking at other opportunities in the midst of the season and getting ready for a playoff game and hopefully make a run at a national championship. So Kalen DeBoer had a different mindset, different values, different way of thinking than Mr. Lane Kiffin. Kalen DeBoer, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you look into your players' eyes, getting ready for a playoff run. Again, I just wanted to bring that up. Kalen DeBoer, again, Michigan and his agent were talking. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The story of today, Brandon Marcello, everyone's been reporting on it. The NCAA imposes steep penalties for ghost transfers, but many already doubt they will stick. The NCAA approved sweeping penalties Wednesday for programs that sign players outside of the portal. Coaches and attorneys across the sport aren't convinced the rules will hold. The NCAA Division I cabinet approved emergency legislation Wednesday designed to stop programs from signing players who circumvent the transfer portal. Again, an obvious rule that everyone agrees with. But as with most issues regarding player eligibility and movement in college sports, challenges may loom in the courtroom next fall. The legislation approved Wednesday imposes severe penalties on programs that accept players who transfer without entering the portal. A half-season suspension for the head coach from all coaching, recruiting, and administrative duties, and a fine equal to 20% of the school's football budget. If you bring in a guy on your roster that then outside of the portal, the athletic department is going to lose 20% of the school's football budget. And the head coach, half-season suspension. I'm grateful the D1 cabinet approved the FBF Oversight Committee recommendation to impose significant penalties on head coaches and programs who circumvent transfer rules, along with immediate accountability, Vanderbilt coach Clark said in a statement released by the NCAA. This is a necessary step to address critical roster management issue facing our sport and protect the integrity of the football's transfer window. It's going to add legal chaos, an ACC head coach told CBS Sports, but it will keep rosters mostly intact until one player wins a lawsuit. And then it goes in to talk about eroding NCAA authority. Right? NCAA losing a lot of cases. They win some on eligibility, but they lose many others. The coaches doubt the rule will have teeth. Cynicism and skepticism have seeped into the system following years of rule breakers, going unpunished in legal filings that have rendered the NCAA impotent in certain areas. Well, if the NCAA is impotent, if there cannot be any rules, even with one that everybody agrees with, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If we do not get the SCORE Act passed, we're sliding into silos. There's no way in hell any of this bleep holds up, an SEC head coach told CBS Sports. If a kid gets kicked off a team, he can't join another team. Indeed, such circumstances have already occurred in college football. Oh, boy. We talked about the Xavier Lucas case. Nothing really came of that. Last spring, BYU quarterback Jake Rasloff faced a 7-game suspension for an honor violation. The portal window had already closed, so he enrolled at Tulane as a walk-on and was eventually put on a scholarship. If both moves happen now, those schools would face significant penalties. One Big Ten general manager still has doubts the NCAA's new penalties will curb the behavior. Nothing even came of the Xavier Lucas leaving for Miami last year, other than the fact he played for a national title. There are no teeth right now. Until someone really gets hammered for something, no one is scared. If I'm a blue blood program, what is there to be scared of? The NCAA is going to go for the low-hanging fruit and not for the big boys. An SEC general manager echoed the concerns, pointing to staffing and logistical challenges at schools and within the NCAA's enforcement unit. Legal chaos, he said. None of these rules, none of them hold any weight and are hard to enforce without constant audits, which nobody has the manpower to do effectively. Now, would the SEC be able to govern their own 16 schools? Would the Big Ten be able to govern their own 18 schools? Would the Big 12 be able to govern their own 16 schools? Would the ACC be able to govern their own 17 schools more effectively? I'm going to skip over this lawyer. I don't care what he says. What a court case might look like is also a fascinating question. The one thing I'm really interested in is who are they suing, these lawyers? A Big 12 head coach said. The whole deal is the penalty is not on the kid, the penalty is on the coach and the school. That's what's going to be interesting. Yes, the penalty is on the school. The penalty is on the coach, but the player is getting penalized in the sense that they're not going to be able to move to another team because of these penalties. So the players are getting penalized that they're being limited with their movement. On paper, the legislation makes it catastrophically expensive for a program to use the player. It becomes too expensive, too risky. Okay, I think we all know what the breaking rule is and all that. Let's get back to your comments. We'll open up the phone lines here. Stephen Vitt, you need guardrails at some point. There is no anytime you set up any potential guardrails, the lawyers come out of the woodwork. They're gonna go to the courts. And the NCAA has no credibility. But the problem is if you strip away the NCAA and you throw another label on it, call it anything you want to call it. Call it the PATC Einsteins. the governing body of the peek around the corner Einsteins, you would not have any credibility either, even though you don't have a past, even though you don't have all these issues over the last decades like the NCAA, you would have no credibility in the courts. And even if you did, nobody's going to follow you. We're getting to the point where if the SCORE Act doesn't pass, silo is the only option out there. And again, today was another example of all that. People do not want rules governing everybody. They don't think they're legitimate. They don't think they're going to hold up in the courts, and they're probably right. So, I don't know what to say other than either get ready for a miracle, the SCORE Act getting passed, or get ready for the silo. Can you explain to me any other happy medium? Either the rules, the guardrails, what was established in the House case becomes legitimate in the eyes of everybody because the SCORE Act passes, or the SEC is going their own way. The Big Ten then will have to go their own way. The Big 12 would have to go their own way. The ACC would have to go their own way. And I would argue this, because I see it in the chat room. I see it in the chat room plenty, where they say if the SEC goes their own way, then the Big Ten and the ACC and the Big 12 can get together and form their own rules, Greg. And they'll be more powerful than the SEC. I don't think that's even a possibility. Because if the SEC goes their own way, they may be able to govern themselves, and they may be legitimate in the eyes of the court. Like during the Austin case, where it seemed like there was legitimacy in a conference establishing their own rules with credibility. They don't have the market power. They have some antitrust violation protection. So if the Big 12 and the ACC and the Big 10 did their thing together, it would not probably hold up in the courts. Whatever rules the ACC and the Big 12 and the Big 10 could agree upon, just like now, it wouldn't last. So if the Southeastern Conference goes in a silo, the Big Ten is going to have to go in a silo. Because they're going to need exactly what the SEC wants and needs. Some sort of credible governance. And going into our own silos, I think there are going to be things that are going to happen that are completely not known at this point. I'll give you one. I'm going to bring up one thing before we go to your phone calls. If anybody wants to call in. Again, thank you for joining us here on April 1st in the evening, first day of April. I appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring that notification bell. There is one, before I get to that, Amanda Krisovich, reporting Front Office Sports, The SCORE Act is still not ready to be brought to the House floor for a vote. And negotiations are still ongoing. Discussions about the potentially another amendment are taking place. And now, I don't know if that's, again, that may be good news. For those who want the SCORE Act to get passed, that may be good news. Number one, negotiations are still ongoing, and discussions about a potentially another amendment are taking place. More compromise. That actually might be good news. Also being reported, meanwhile, President Trump's 5 subcommittees on college sports met yesterday. The subcommittees are on a player-agent relationship, legislation, media rights, SBA amendment, rules and governance. Participants include many who are at the round table. Trump's executive order is still being drafted. Okay. So the SCORE Act is not ready to be brought to the House floor for a vote quite yet. But before we get to your phone calls, I'll just throw it out there. SCORE Act doesn't pass. Nebraska 18 wins their case. Things are collapsing all around. And the Southeastern Conference moves into their own silo. And now the Southeastern Conference is watching other conferences move into their own silos. And the Southeastern Conference is determined to make sure that their rules and guidance, whatever, matches what they're doing. If not, we may not play each other anymore in football. What happens to Notre Dame? What happens to Notre Dame? What happens to Notre Dame if the Southeastern Conference moves into their own silo? We're talking about all these things that could possibly happen. What about Notre Dame? I think it might affect Notre Dame big time. Okay, we're going to get to your phone calls. The phone line is open, 763-260-1333, 763-260-1333. Give us a call and talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. I want to thank Evil Badger OPD Dunn for your generosity, for your super chats. Very much appreciate it.
From
Rick?
Rick, thanks for calling, sir. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, it's going to affect Notre Dame immensely. There's no doubt about that. You've got to be in a silo in order to play the teams in the silo. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're playing non-silo teams, and I don't think that's what Notre Dame wants to schedule. I don't think there's any money there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe NBC still wants to give him a contract. I don't know. But
yeah, NBC. Yeah, it's
And as far as the latest challenge, I mean, it's the same thing over and over again, over and over and over.
Yeah.
You can make up whatever rules you want, but if they're not legal, they're no good. I don't care how many people sign them. They're either legal or they're illegal.
What bothers me is before they get blown up in the courts, there's already coaches and teams that I say, now we're not going to abide by that. That's what bothers me, because a lot of this stuff hasn't been destroyed by the courts yet. And yet teams are saying, forget about it. We're going to do end runs around this. So that's what bothers me. Not that it gets defeated in the courts, is that Nobody abides by the rules anyway. Even if they were legal rules, I'm not sure anybody would abide by it. It's just the way college sports is. Go ahead, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I tend to agree, but no, I think there are punishments severe enough for violating illegal agreements. And they're called lawsuits, and they're settled in courts with a lot of money for people doing things illegally. It happens all the time. So they can, and everybody you quoted there on that article from the SEC general managers to coach, nobody's got a name. They've all got opinions. Nobody's got a name. And that's okay. They're entitled to them.
Yeah.
But they're worthless. Because when it comes down to it, all that's going to matter is the decision. And what I'm a little curious on is the arbitrator for the Husker case. I think he was agreed upon. I'm using he. I don't want to say he or she. But the person was agreed upon to be the arbitrator as part of the House settlement?
That's a great question, and I really should look at that.
I think they're named. I think
Yeah.
or the law firm they're coming from, or the pool of arbitrators
Sure.
that they're selected from comes from a,
Sure.
But it doesn't really matter. Even that doesn't matter. And the reason I say it is because if the arbitrator rules in favor of the players, game over.
Yeah.
And if they rule in favor of the schools, the University of Nebraska and the state of Nebraska are going to immediately sue and bring it into court.
But that would take a while, though. I mean, It would, but it doesn't. It's not a complicated case. It's one issue. Did the arbitrator make the correct or incorrect decision? And it'll be a judge that decides what the arbitrator did was right or wrong. Yeah.
So I don't see that taking too long anyway.
Yeah. Could be.
And then with the silos, this is, and I don't mean to pick on you, I'll leave it at this, and I'm not picking on you, but, like a lot of people, I think you're extremely nostalgic with regard to football.
Yeah.
And it would even go up to and including the president, who said, well, why can't we do it like we used to do it?
No, I'm not that nostalgic.
No, you're not that naive.
Yeah.
No, the president's naive with regard to the whole issue. But nonetheless, it's 2026, and I've got a hunch when you and the little general go shopping, I don't know, do you go to Costco or Walmart or Sam's Club?
Walmart, Target.
Yeah, Walmart, Target. You don't go to the Ma and Pa shop down the road there, do you?
We go to Aldi's sometimes.
You see what I'm getting at here with this? Yeah. You don't go to the hardware store when you want to set up your studio. You go to Lowe's or Home Depot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where you get your stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, you go to Best Buy if you want to get some electronic equipment.
So basically, we're going to be dividing. We're going to be dividing us up, right? I mean, that's where we're heading.
It's the big box conferences.
Yep, you're right.
And the Ma and Pa's, the local electrician, he can't have a shop anymore. Well, he can. He just can't make any money at it.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for taking the call.
I appreciate it, buddy. Great call, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it so very much. Kenneth Maynard, Notre Dame would join the ACC silo if the SEC went into a silo.
From
Studzilla, can you hold on for just a moment, please?
Yep.
I just got to get caught up here. Kenneth Maynard, Notre Dame would join the AC silo if the SEC went into a silo. I guess that's a possibility, but I would not even put your money on that, Kenneth Maynard. I highly, highly, highly doubt that. I don't think that's an option, especially now. The chatter behind the curtain, Notre Dame and ACC. You're talking about things not staying the same. That's not staying the same. I would highly doubt that. Before we get to Studzilla, I do have to apologize. I made a comment earlier today, and I erased it on X because I was incorrect. I was fooled by an April Fool's joke. I was fooled. Breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news. Jonathan, the oldest living ground animal, land animal, is not dead. Jonathan the tortoise is alive and well. He's at least 193 years old, the longest living land animal on Earth. A suspected crypto scammer went viral on April Fool's Day pretending to be his vet. So again, I was fooled in an I said something to the effect, an astonishing life well lived by Jonathan. I have watched documentaries about this tortoise. So Jonathan is alive and well. Good news. Jonathan is alive and well. Studzilla, thanks for calling. I appreciate it. The floor is yours.
I always thought the oldest living land animal was Bill Belichick, but I guess I was wrong. So I saw something interesting today. Mentioned it was an article about Wyoming, and they were complaining, basically saying that it would cost them like $4 to $5 million a year to be able to compete. And then there was discussions about how there's some teams that are paying this much to an individual player, which I don't know if that's true or not. You hear things exaggerated and stuff. But it brought up something interesting that I wanted to get your input on, which was, what if college football in this new NIL era, or NIL, were to look to the world of soccer, or football as the rest of the world likes to call it, for inspiration, where you have transfer fees. So if someone transfers from Miami of Ohio or Wyoming or Northern Illinois and goes to Tennessee, Alabama, USC has to negotiate a fee with that school to get that player. And it would work the same way the other way too. Someone's leaving Ohio State to go to UCLA, for example. Doesn't mean they would have to charge a transfer fee, but it would probably be far more common going up than going down or going lateral. But just want to know what your thoughts on that, if you've heard anybody discuss that even casually or anything.
Well, yeah, yes. That's what I think. I think that's the best case scenario. For example, the Big Ten contracts, right? The Big Ten contracts, we saw an illustration of Demond Williams. He's going to go in the portal. But in his contract, it would have cost the other team money to take him. It would have counted against the other team's rev share. I believe buyouts within the contract, which you would call a transfer fee, is the way to go in all this. Forget about the tampering rules. And forget about the portals even, if we have to go that far. if we just are in a world in which contracts are binding, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Contracts are binding out there in the world. Courts do hold up contracts. You don't have to be in a collective bargain. You don't have to be a part of a collective bargaining. You don't have to be a part of a collective bargaining agreement for your contract to be legit. I mean, I had contracts. I had lots of contracts as a consultant in print media, commercial print media. A lot of people out there have contracts. And then there are buyouts, and then there's restrictions. If you sign on the dotted line, you're responsible for what you're responsible for, and the one that is paying you, your employee, or whatever you want to call it, they're responsible for what they're responsible for. It would be like professional wrestling, right? Independent contractors. You're a professional wrestler for WWE. You have a 5-year contract. You have a 5-year contract. And in college football, you're basically not an employee of the school, but you do have a contract, and there's a buyout in that contract. And if you want to go somewhere else, okay, you can go to school anywhere you want to go, but if for that team to play you, they have to pay that buyout or that transfer fee. That's what you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the world that could possibly work in some things. Much like a coach's contract, right? The coach can leave, go to somewhere else, but there's a buyout in that contract that the coach and the team agreed on, or the athletic department and the coach agreed on. Treat players in that manner. But, there's so many other rules, right? There's so many other things that are going on that part of it won't solve. That's why I still think we're probably going in our silos if that SCORE Act doesn't pass. But yes, I think what you're talking about is something that eventually I think we're going to be heading down that pathway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you, sir. Great call.
Bye.
OPD Dunn, did I hear you say that you were going to say where you thought VPI was going on today's show? No, we're waiting for April 9th on that. April 9th live show. I'll make my prediction, just like April 9th of last year, in which I said there's about a 1% chance of getting it correct. We're going to do the April 9th prediction show. Not a report, but a prediction. And you all can put your prediction. Well, it will be a prediction April 9th show on what is going to happen in the next wave of realignment. All I can tell you is my prediction of this April 9th, 2026 is not going to match the prediction of April 9th in 2025. I know that. But yeah, where Virginia Tech goes, I don't know. I've got to April 9th to figure it all out. The lines are open. The lines are open. 763-260-1333. Lines are open. Now let's see if there's any other news out there. We talked about the Kalen DeBoer, Michigan. Artemis mission launched today at 5:35 Central Time, 6:35 Eastern Time. We got breaking news about a basketball coach. Kansas coach Bill Self is returning to the sideline for 26-27 season. He remains focused and committed to Kansas. The decision comes more than a week after he said he discussed his coaching future with his family in the wake of health concerns. Bill Self is coming back for 2026 and 27. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like nobody else wants to talk with me. Looks like nobody else wants to give me a phone call, so we'll lock it up. We'll lock up the phones. And I do want to thank everybody for joining us here on April 1st, 2026. I do want to thank OPD Don and Eva Badger for your generosity. I appreciate it. I want to thank the callers. Thank you so very much. Rick and Studzilla. And for everybody with the comments in the comment section. Again, buckle up, brace for impact. It's going to be a crazy April. Today, a little quiet, which I'm okay with. I'm okay that today was a little quiet because it's going to get crazy in the month of April. So you don't want to miss a thing. Make sure you subscribe. Ring the notification bell because we can come on live at any time. We could be coming on again later tonight, early tomorrow morning. Big things are happening. Big decisions are going to be happening. And we're going to continue to follow the college football world. Again, with the ACC way too early predictions. We came out with those today during the live show. Miami, Louisville, we expect to be in the ACC championship game. SMU, Clemson, California, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State and Virginia, Pittsburgh, Florida State, Duke, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Syracuse, Stanford, and Boston College. We went through the reasons why. You can go back to earlier part of the show. We broke it all down here at Peek Around the Corner. But yeah, April is going to be an historic month in college football. So stick with us here. Keep your eyes open, your head on a swivel. Buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.